Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. If you are new here, my name is Dominique, but you can call me Dom. This is
Nehemiah.
We call Nia and
Nael.
Today is Niall's 5th birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So we're in my kitchen because today I have the chance of participating in the Freeze Dry February hosted by the Inquisitive Farmwife. I will have a link to her channel down below, but for the whole month of February, there are many YouTube content creators that are participating in the Freeze Dry February, putting on a freeze dry related video for the month of February. If you are new here, I have a Stay Fresh freeze dryer that I received maybe less than 6 months ago. I don't really remember the time, but I have always wanted a freeze dry. Even before I started homesteading, I knew that I wanted a freeze dryer because I used to love to eat the bananas, strawberries, and blueberries, mangoes, all from Trader Joe's for freeze dry. And if you're familiar with freeze dry food, they come in a small little pack for like 1 or 2 ounce, and they're about $4. And I would just eat them right up. My kids love them. They kind of remind me of, you know, those yogurts that melt in your baby's mouth when they're like 6 months old, those like yogurt bites. That is what freeze-dried fruit, especially the bananas, remind me of. They just melt in your mouth. So up here on this row behind me, that is where I keep all of my freeze-dried food. And I'm going to turn you around and show you what I have. So the first thing that I have, probably the newest thing, is these freeze-dry eggs. We had a lot of eggs before. At the end, we were still in winter, but I freeze-dried about 3 trays. So this was probably about 48 eggs. We've been sprinkling some on my dog's dog food. We do have 5 dogs, and we just sprinkle some on top of their food. Sometimes we sprinkle a little broth, and they eat it right up. The next thing I have here are pickles. So in the summer, these are cucumbers from the garden. There's also some peppers in there, but I made up some sweet and sour and some dill pickles, and I froze them. And then when I was cleaning out my freezer for the month of January, participating in the 3 Rivers Challenge, I wanted to clear out a lot of space off my freezer. I did take out all of those frozen pickles, and then we freeze dried them. They taste like chips, and so that is what I wanted, and that is exactly what they taste like. I keep all of my freeze dried items inside of glass jars with oxygen absorbers because I have not yet begun freeze drying for long-term storage. Freeze drying process takes up about 99.9% of moisture, and so you can freeze dry, and they say like things can last up to like 20 years in like Mylar bags and stuff like that. But I haven't begun trying to, and I don't think I have any plans of trying to make my freeze dried food last that many years. So for the most part, I'm keeping mine in glass for now. The next thing I have are these bananas. This is my favorite thing to eat freeze-dried. Like I said, it melts in your mouth. This is from the garden. This is Kikuzi squash, and it reminds me of zucchini. I put it in lots of recipes like chili and things like that, and it just rehydrates. I was thinking about making muffins with it, and so we'll still have to do that. We have some apples that I picked at an orchard and freeze-dried. About the first thing that I freeze-dried that tastes like a chip, my kids ate it all up, were green beans from the garden. So this is green beans and broccoli from the garden. You want to taste one, Nia? The first time I made these green beans, I seasoned it with just some seasoning. What do you think about it?
It tastes like a chip.
Yeah. The freeze-dried green beans kind of remind me of like those freeze-dried pea snaps that you get from the store, except for with all of that ingredients. With these, I just sauteed them with some vegetable seasoning blend, and then freeze-dried them, and so they definitely have that salty, crunchy chip flavor. But then it also has the nice flavor from like the butter that I sauteed it in with, or the oil I sauteed it in with the seasoning. The next thing I freeze-dried was a bag of strawberries. So the smaller strawberries are from my garden, but then I also had some strawberries in a frozen bag, as well as some blackberries and some raspberries. and my kids are slowly going through that. You can see the oxygen absorber right there. And then another new thing that I freeze dried and powdered. Again, when we were going through the pantry challenge, I had a bunch of tomatoes from last garden and that I bought, and I ended up making pasta sauce with it. And then with all of that pulp, I ended up freeze drying it and then blending it. I had Nehemiah blend it down for me, and so now I have tomato powder, and I have used this as well. I sprinkled it into things needing just like a thickener or tomato paste or anything like that, and it has it also has vegetables in it, so it had like onions and peppers and stuff like that, so it's a really nice flavored blend. And then here we have another container of cucuzzi squash that I freeze dried. We were going through this one first because I believe I freeze dried this one first. And then back here I have spicy peppers from the garden that I'm actually not sure. Yeah, those are freeze dried. We don't really like spicy peppers like that, and so that is why they're still here. I have already a spicy pepper blend right here that we dehydrated and blended up, and so I'm waiting for us to go through this one before I make that one into a powder and then blend it up. But so far we really like it. It doesn't make food super spicy, especially if you're just using a sprinkle, because my kids and my family don't really enjoy spicy food like that. And then we have these freeze-dried green onions, which is perfect, as well as this freeze-dried cilantro. Because I don't know about you, but anytime I need green onions for a recipe or cilantro, I feel like I never have it, or I have to go to the store and buy it. So instead, I just decided to buy about 3 bunches, and then I freeze-dried it. And then for the cilantro, I did chop it down a little bit, and then for the green onions, I did have my kids cut them into smaller pieces. So now anytime I need cilantro to make guacamole or anything like that, I have cilantro and green onions on hand. Can you hold this so I could get a banana? Freeze-dried bananas, they literally melt in your mouth. I don't really care for bananas when we get them from the store, especially when they start getting all of the little black spots on them. I know that's when they're the most sweetest and stuff, but I actually like bananas that have like some green on them and that are a little firmer. And so especially when I get bananas that start turning brown, I just have my kids chop it up and then we freeze dry it, because the sweetness when it's freeze dried with the crunchy flavor is delicious. It melts in your mouth. But raw banana, or yeah, I don't really care for it. The last thing I have on my shelf that is freeze dried is ginger. We did grow ginger in our garden last year, and I freeze dried some so that way when it was time that I needed ginger, I can just ground it or turn it into powder or anything like that. So we have ginger as well. There are so many different things that you can do with a freeze dry. You can freeze dry whole meals. You can freeze dry. I also have some sweet potatoes that my kids don't really care for sweet potatoes like when I bake it or anything like that. But I thought about if I could chop them really thinly and then put them with like some salt and some pepper, kind of like I did the green beans, and freeze dry them. I thought that maybe they would enjoy them that way, turning them into a chip. You could also do that for potatoes. I haven't tried it with potatoes yet, just because my potatoes from last year's garden, I actually am going to replant them. But I thought that would be a really good, and kind of making like a vegetable melody, where you just have like the green beans, the broccoli, the sweet potatoes, the, what was the other thing? I think that was it. But just mixing them all together and kind of having like a healthy snack. What's your favorite freeze-dried thing?
Strawberries.
Strawberries. Yeah, strawberries are really good too. The raspberries still were a little tart, but they were good as well. And then, oh yeah, we also freeze dried gooseberries, like the ground cherries that we got from the garden last year. Those were like really little poppy snacks. And so there's so many things that you can do with your, I freeze dried goat milk as well. There's goat milk up there. Let me show you. Back here, I have 2.5 gallons of goat milk that I have frozen. We do have dairy goats here, and when they were producing a bunch quicker than we can go through it, I would just throw it into the freeze dryer. And so now we have 2.5 gallons worth of freeze dried goat milk, and I'm thinking about using it to either make soap or something like that. So that's another thing that we have freeze dried. So I decided that we were going to try and make zucchini muffins using the Kukuzi freeze-dried squash that I have, because you can interchange it like you do zucchini. And then I'm going to use my freeze-dried eggs as well as my freeze-dried goat milk for this recipe. So that's going to be 3 freeze-dried products in these muffins. We already have the dry ingredients in here, which was just flour. I have the recipe link down below, but it was just flour, salt, sugar, baking powder, baking powder, baking soda, salt. We have our freeze-dried Kukuzi here. I'm about to add some vanilla that I made, homemade vanilla. We have our eggs, because we're gonna need 2 eggs and we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of milk, so I'm gonna use this as the milk. And then I'm about to add some oil. So for the freeze-dried eggs, it said 2 tablespoons will equal 1 egg. So 2 tablespoons of freeze-dried egg and then 2 tablespoons of water equals 1 egg. So I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of water and 4 tablespoons of the freeze-dried egg powder. So for the freeze-dried milk, I didn't look it up, but we only need 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to do 4 tablespoons of the powder and then 4 tablespoons of the milk again, and then hopefully that is the right consistency. Right now Nehemiah is adding in the 4 tablespoons of water for the eggs. For the freeze-dried Kukuzi, I just have some boiling water here just so it could rehydrate faster. I'm going to add in the Kukuzi and let it sit for about 10-15 minutes. So I did use that whole container of freeze-dried Kukuzi. Oops, oh no. Because I need about 1 cup and 1 3/4 cups of squash to add to this recipe. So we are going to add in 1 cup of chocolate chips. The batter is a really thick batter. I am going to add in now the Kukuzi, and then we're going to mix it and put it into our muffin liners, and then we will be back for a taste test. While we have the muffins inside the oven, I wanted to go ahead and say that every Friday for the month of February at 4 p.m. I believe, they are giving away a free gift, and the grand prize is actually a Harvest Right freeze dryer. So definitely go and make sure you check out the other playlists for the other collaborators and visit the Inquisitive Farmwife to figure out all the details for that. So they just came out of the oven. We actually ended up with 14 muffins, and they do look a little brown because once we added in the Kukuzi squash on top of the chocolate chips, it kind of melted the chocolate chips. So then we ended up adding chocolate chips on top, but I'm sure they'll taste delicious. We'll let them cool a little bit before we taste them. Hey baby,
Extra warm.
I have a muffin for you to taste test for us.
This looks very delicious.
It's a Kukuzi, well, it's called zucchini muffin, but I use Kukuzi.
I don't even know what that is, but we're going to
Zucchini muffin?
You said Kukuzi.
Yeah, it's like a squash.
That's what you're calling it? Is that what
No, it's a zucchini muffin. I'm calling it zucchini muffin.
Oh, okay.
Mommy. Now I can have the
Wow.
What is this?
Yes, you can have one.
Yeah,
Neil, you
I
tasting
can't
it?
eat all of them. This tastes really good.
Does it taste good?
Hey, you made it or you made it?
Nehemiah helped me. I helped her. Does it taste like Nia?
That's fine.
Chocolate.
Tastes like chocolate? What tastes like baby?
It tastes really good. It does taste really chocolatey. It doesn't taste like I'm eating a plant.
A plant? You not.
Yeah. Hey, I found something green though.
Yeah, that's the not the zucchini, the Kukuzi.
Yeah, the Kukuzi. It tastes good though.
What you think, Naya?
What, it tastes healthy? You got a problem with that?
What it tastes like?
Yeah, it tastes like cake. Chocolate.
Like chocolate? You approve?
But it's hot.
But it's hot.
I didn't put a lot of chocolate in it.
I guess it's supposed to cool down 5 minutes. It's only been like 2 minutes.
It been like 5 minutes.
What is that? It took me 2 minutes to walk over there and sit with the baby, and then you come with the muffins. So that was 2 minutes. This thing's still hot, but it's good though.
It's hot now.
It's on my tongue.
Well, guys, I am not going to taste a muffin because I'm actually full, but you guys saw most of my family tasted a muffin. They said it was delicious. I'm sure it is delicious. We have tomorrow is church, and we have about 3, 6, 9 of them, so we'll have them for breakfast on our way out the door to go to church. But thank you guys for being here. Remember to check the playlist down below. I'll have all of the other playlists for the people participating in this collaboration, as well as the link to the Inquisitive Farmwife, and you can go out and go over and check all of those things out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.